Welcome to the University of Derby. Today, EXCELR8 BTCC driver Tom Ingram is with us.
Tom Ingram across the line to win the Quick Fix British Touring Car Championship.
Tom will be conducting a virtual test day with a group of our motorsport students using one of our simulators. The students will be working together to improve the car setup and reduce lap time, putting into practice skills learned from Derby's motorsport programme. Let's see how they get on.
Hello, welcome along to Derby Uni, and it's quite a cool day today actually. I'm down here with a load of the students and we're going through a bit of a practical stuff that we're doing. So we're working through a program to give these guys a bit of first-hand experience of kind of what's going on with the car, changes that we make, the effects that it would do, and simulating as we would kind of a real test session. So setup changes, having to look at all the simple things that we have to do from that, from tyre pressures to fuel loads and everything in between. So it gives these guys a real first-hand experience of the kind of stuff that we'd be doing in reality. I did this a couple of years ago. It was a great success. These guys really enjoy it, and for me it's a great day to give back and have a bit of fun whilst doing so.
So at the minute Tom's doing a baseline run, the students are watching the stream to see how the car's handling from the onboard camera. Once he's finished that run, he'll then give some feedback on the initial base setup, and then the students can make some decisions on where they go with the setup from there.
So I'm happy to be led by Andy. You guys back however we want to do it in terms of what you want to change, if you've got some ideas, what you want to do, you guys just sort of looking kind of where you want it to be, and just come up with a bit of a plan. I think the idea is what I'd like to do today is basically make the car fastest right at the very end.
Because if you are trying to solve a problem, you then lose track of what's actually fixed that problem for future knowledge, if you know what I mean. So just pick something, we'll make a change, try it, see if that improves, then we can then start fighting the next battle, if that makes sense. That was the first baseline, Tom, to make sure he's happy with how he's sat in the car fundamentally as well, because while it's still a sim, you want to be comfortable as you would in a real car. And then just to get a feel of how the car is, readjust to the simulator, the car, etc. And then from now on, he'll do however many laps you tell him to do.
You tell me I can do 1, I can do 100. You tell me whatever's a useful amount of laps that you think you can go through, you can understand, you can see what's going on, you can see the car doing. Don't forget, you don't have to run it for the full length. If you want to cut it short, you can cut it short. If you wanted to do an extra lap, you can do an extra lap. Be aware you've obviously got some parameters in that with it as well. So I'm led by you guys, however you want to. What do we want to try and achieve in this run? Because again, when we're into realistic times, turns now, we're going to be limited by potentially cars and circuit. Obviously we're not in this scenario, but tyre life as well. The amount of fuel we're putting in the car. What do we want to achieve with this? Are we trying to get an understanding for making sure our pressures look better? Are we trying to do a performance run? You know what I mean? What's our goal for this run? Because otherwise we're just going to drive round. We need to, you want to really realistically have a target each time you go out on circuit. We want to achieve this. We want to achieve this. We want to achieve this. So just have to think about it. Don't need to necessarily immediately. How many laps do you want to do? What do we want to try and achieve from it? Come up with a plan now. We'll do a setup change because we've got 7 minutes before we're due out on circuit. So have a little bit of chat amongst yourselves, what you want to change, and then we'll action those changes and we can go on track.
So in a minute, I'm currently making the setup changes requested by the students for Tom's second run. So they've elected to try and average out the front tyre pressures with a small increase to the rear tyre pressure to hopefully combat some of the issues that Tom reported back to them.
Get this, my forms to fill out. you see.
No real oversteer in the car at all at the minute. A little bit on exit from slow speed corners, but I would expect that. Just generally doesn't feel like there's enough performance out of the front, like there's enough weight out over the front. I wouldn't say, yeah, it feels more lazy now we've softened off the front roll bar. So the front roll bar has made it feel lazy, which I would expect it to, but hasn't then given it the grip and the front performance that I would expect to kind of go with that at the same time. Just general front power, I don't feel like I've got the ability to be able to come out of the brakes and take corners smooth through. I feel like I have to stay on the brakes to keep the front weighted up, but then with the ABS kicking in, then that's what's kicking in to be able to steer through the corner as well. So generally it feels like it's just lacking any front performance out of it.
As you can see, Tom Ingram is back on the simulator. He is now going to do 5 laps. The students have done some slight setup adjustments. He's now boxing and the students are going to see if they can improve those lap times and change anything else in the car to improve the setup. They're looking at the fuel levels, they're looking at the balance of the car, anything they can do to make sure that Tom has got a better drive. So they're now going to reassess. The students will have a 15-minute break to go over the data that Tom's producing, and then Tom's going to get back in the sim and see if those adjustments that they make can make an improvement to their lap times.
Sent them back out for another stint because we had to pull them in early, change camber, caster, so back out for another 7 lap stint.
You can see that the shape, particularly on the rears, it's shocking. It's not too bad on the front. It's nice, sort of steep and rounded, whereas there's not a lot of height on the rear. And you can see particularly on the right hand side, it goes up and then down. I'm going to change the low speed. It can help to increase the middle spike.
A big improvement on the initial turn, general responsiveness out of the car, and sort of mid-corner performance, but still lacking quite a considerable amount in the slow and mid-speed stuff. So although it was an improvement and it feels a lot better, still needs quite a chunk to unlock some front performance out of it at the moment. So a good step forwards, an improvement, but there's some more in there that we need to we could do with finding as well. There's probably something fundamental that we might be missing there, I think.
Brake ups, and you've got obviously your front ride-on splits and brake ups as well. So you've obviously got, if you're starting going down this aero route, you've obviously got your ride heights and your angles of splitters and rear wings. I'll just draw your attention to this bit here. So this is your aero variation. So this is giving you an idea of how much front aero there is. So then obviously as you start tweaking it to know how big a difference that is aerodynamically, you want to see how that number changes from like pre and post. So that number necessarily isn't necessarily important as an overall number. What we're interested in is how much it's changing as a delta really.
What I would do for your own peace of mind is make a note of what you've got now, so you know what you've changed to. You can then quantify that as a percentage change, rather than going, let's go to X, Y, and Z, and actually not knowing what the change is. So you'd always like to make any changes that you make in either incrementals or in percentage gains, so you know you're making a 10% front, 10% rear, whatever it might be, whatever your number is, so long as you're then aware of what it does. Which then means when you then get to the fingertip stuff of we could do with a little tiny bit of that, well actually you know what a 1% increase or what a 10% increase or what a 50% increase does. You kind of then know. It's good when you're at this stage to be able to do big chunks, but sometimes it's not always the way, because when you need the fingertip stuff you don't actually know what they're gonna be then.
So I think if we spin the roll bar on the rear, it's going to have less sort of roll, so I think we're going to be able to keep more of a balanced platform through the whole thing.
Yep.
But that's going to be a good
17 position on, that's now able to be done flat. Yeah. Still just about starting to lack something to be able to get through Eau Rouge flat, but it's only very slight now. So you could potentially start to do your fingertip stuff there to sort of try to pull that back in line. Generally, it feels like it feels like it's just sort of floaty through the middle part of the corners. So mainly through the slow speeds, mid-speed stuff, I should say. Slow speed stuff feels quite nice. There's not really any feel in it. It just seems to wants to give up and fall over itself, and just feels like it just wants to slide and move around. Doesn't feel like it's hunkered down, sat in, and getting some good ones.
Just increase those steppers on the actual roll bar, just to get rid of some of that roll.
On the rear?
Yes.
Okay. So what are you up to now? What's maximum?
6.
Okay. What was it when we first started this morning? You remember?
0.
Was it 0? Okay. I couldn't remember if it was the front that was
Yeah,
or
the
just the rear.
front was max and
That was
rear
it,
was
yeah. I couldn't remember which way around they were. Okay, fine. High speed better can still go again. You know, you could probably go another step again with what you've done, and that would win you back. If you know, I don't know if you were able to see a little bit of higher speed at the end of the straights, which again you might be able to reference that on data. You might be able to have a look through that and actually see the difference at the rear wing, front wing, and the aero adjustment made. It seemed to generate some more speed at the top of the straight, and the delta started to drop. And the same again coming out of 15, that run up to the chicane, the delta was starting to increase again when we went a little bit.
I think the rear camber's fine because he's not complaining about the rear like just giving up. It says like it's always just like floaty, like there's too much load across. Whereas like if the rear was like, if he's going through the corners and the rear was just spitting out on him, he'd be like, oh, we ain't got enough camber on it. Or if it's like understeering through the corner, like high speed, but it feels like the rear doesn't want to follow the front, and that's when we've got too much camber on it. So I think we're pretty okay with where the camber's at. I'm Joe Perkins, I'm a first year motorsport engineering student at Derby. Students Days helped me in terms of like developing my knowledge as an engineer. I think when you've got a driver that you're not really worried about doing driver coaching with, not worried about how their style is, not have to worry about are they hitting the brake at the right point, where you can just focus on the engineering. I think that makes it more beneficial for us in terms of learning cars, learning what little changes do to the dynamics of the car, you know, what a bit of camber will do through a corner, what it'll do on the entry, on the exit. Whereas like, I think if we had someone who wasn't at the sort of level that Tom's at, we'd be focusing on chasing his actual lap time through his driving style instead of how we can set the car up to sort of get the best lap time possible.
My name's Tom Whitaker and I'm a second year student studying motorsport engineering at the University of Derby. A day like this is beneficial for me as we can learn from someone like Tom, who's an experienced racing driver with loads of experience to help further fulfil our knowledge.
My name is Leon Bryan. I'm a first year motorsport engineering student at the University of Derby. Today's been a real build on my knowledge overall. This is the first proper experience I've had with anything to do with data engineering really in a motorsport setting, and I think Tom's knowledge and sort of feedback that he's given to the group has really sort of helped expand everyone's knowledge, even the people with who I've had experience before. So honestly, I think I've come out of this with a lot more sort of knowledge and idea of how to set up a car in general, and overall I think so has everybody else.
There we go, so a full day done here at Derby. We've had a fantastic day. These guys have learned loads. We've managed to go through a really cool programme. I've given these guys a bit of first-hand experience of setup changes, what they're going to do, how we go about doing test days, and we finished off with a glory run, low fuel, new tyres, just to see how we ended up. So no, very good day. These guys have done a fantastic job at working through a programme. I've had a good day and I'm absolutely knackered.